Rivera, and I'm the host of Angel in the Afternoon, and I'm already screwing up here. And today we have a guest, a guest I've had before recently, but she's back again, willing to go another round with me, round two. It's, as you all know, Karyn.
Hello.
Hello.
Round two. You make it sound like a boxing match or something.
Well, yeah, that's what I wrote in the script in the thing. So then it's like, oh, okay, let's do round two. I don't know, even though it seems like we had disagreements the last time we fought, but that wasn't really the case. But
No, no. This is a great conversation. I'm so excited to be back on your show. Thank you.
no problem. Thank you
We're
for coming
gonna
back on. It was
talk
really
about
last second. I
that.
didn't really. What happened was I had a guest, then it fell through because it's the holidays and people have stuff to do, which I understand. I'm not mad about that. And then and then it was like, oh shit, it's Friday, m- Friday afternoon, and I have no guest. Either if Karen doesn't want to do the show, then I'm not doing the show because it was late and I didn't know what to talk about. And you said yes, like, oh thank God, I was like, okay, we're good, we can go.
I'm honored to be an understudy. No, this is cool. We'll have fun. We'll talk about stuff for a bit.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm glad you were able to come on, and we'll get to other things, but I wanted to get to you saw the compilation on the internet about Trump supporters, no, Trump, the media, how horrible Trump's going to be in his second term.
yeah. I
I think
put
you
it on.
tweeted it.
I put it
I
on
saw your
my
tweet.
Twitter. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
saw it on your page, and then I was like,
Oh, you
oh,
saw it on mine
I
first.
want to comment on this. Um, yeah. Do you want to play? That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it. It's just let's see. If I actually share my screen and just do that and try to make this a little bigger because on the screen you can't really see much of anything. I think. Let me see. That's a little better. All right. This is. I think this is a conservative, I assume, but yeah, doesn't matter. Desperation. Media claims that Trump wins next election, the world will end. They are now claiming he will shoot visitors at the White House, assassinate generals, kill the first lady, suspend the Constitution, kill democracy, and destroy the DOJ. It's like you might think, no, that's absurd. They actually didn't say this. Oh yeah, they did say that. I watched this whole thing. They said every word that's there.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the funniest things I've seen, and like like these people are insane. All right, so let's. It's like 3 minutes. It's not that long.
Okay.
What would a second Donald Trump term look like?
Well, he cannot be the next president. Because if he is,
You can't imagine the things that he's going to do. Mexico, Canada. We can't go to Canada because eventually Canada will become annexed to America.
And shoot visitors to
Oh,
the
wait, Canada. I missed that part. Canada would become annexed into America. What was it? Trump's going to invade Canada and just annex
I
it to the United States? Or
apparently,
how's that gonna?
apparently.
How would that work? It's like, you know what? I hate Canadians today, so let's just eviscerate their government and just annex the entire country to the United States.
Well, because apparently in their mind, and we're like 10 seconds in, but in their mind, um, Trump as president ceases to be, still a democratic position of governance. He's suddenly an elected king. Apparently, I don't.
Yeah.
It's like they imagine that there's no other structure in place of government. Everyone is just gonna either roll over or be killed, I guess. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just Trump for king. I don't. It's so crazy. But yes,
And
10 seconds in.
he's supposed to. He's also somehow going to. He's gonna somehow. He's gonna annex Mexico too. So what? The United States of North America. I don't understand how that would even work.
It
It's like, oh yeah, let's just start invading random countries and annexing them into the United States. is unbelievable. That's just 10 seconds. I mean, it gets
Yeah.
worse. Or 20 seconds, but it gets worse.
To the White House.
Yeah, that means he can shoot the first lady.
We're going to see violence, the likes of which we didn't.
Why would he shoot his wife? He said, "Oh, yeah, that means he could shoot the first lady." Based on what? Why would he shoot his own wife? The only way that makes sense is that, oh well, Melania cheated on me. But even then, it's like it's not a justification to shoot anybody.
Apparently he's gonna just shoot everybody. He's just gonna be, opening fire, shooting out of windows. It's just, it's the Wild West, apparently. Yeah, I don't know.
It's insane. These people are, and they believe it too, because this is Jennifer Rubin, I believe. Look at her face. She's like she really believes this shit.
Look at the eyes. It's always the eyes.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. These people really believe this. They're not bullshitting you.
Didn't even see.
They are bullshitting you, but they're not. They're not full of crap. Like they don't believe
we'll get
this.
to that, because I think that's worth a debate, and I'm not sold on how I feel about that, but I think there's something to like dissect in that.
Okay.
So yeah.
See, on January 6th.
Wait, I missed that.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to
see violence, the likes of which we didn't even see on January 6th.
So the violence would be worse than on January 6th when if Trump's elected, even though there was no violence on January 6th. Only one person died, and it turns out that was Ashley Babbitt, a Republican. But yeah, violence, scary.
Sorry.
make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
He'll make it illegal to run against them, shut down the media, throw protesters in jail. Isn't that what Democrats are doing right now? Pretty much.
I was just going to say, like, spoken by people who are loyal to a party that is basically canceling debates, trying to find a way around primaries, active in voter suppression, censoring the media. It's like, this is just such a vulgar projection. I mean, words kind of fail me, because it is just so far into the abyss of absurdity. I don't know.
Democratic administration was the one who shut down RT recently. RT America doesn't exist because of Biden's sanctions on Russia. So what are you talking about? Trump shutting down media if he's reelected? It's like, no. What, are you going to shut down MSNBC? I would cheer that, honestly. MSNBC's gone. I would cheer that, but it's ridiculous. He's not going to shut down MSNBC.
Make himself into the Fuhrer, and he will make everybody
the Fuhrer. I can't. Michael Cohen used to be his lawyer, and he's like, and now it's like he hates him now. He's like grifter, because he knows hating Trump makes him a lot of money. Just like his other lawyer, and all his former lawyers now hate him because it's convenient for their wallets.
raise their hand and salute him.
Using martial law against the American people.
Terminate the Constitution.
How would he terminate the Constitution? The only way he could do that through martial law, and even then, he can't declare martial law by himself, I don't think. So I don't know how he would terminate the Constitution. It's like
Write the Constitution.
Create mass.
He'll rewrite the Constitution. How? You have to be able. You have to invite a You have to have a constitutional convention. He's not the only one there. There's going to be a bunch of other people there. So everything he wants, he's not going to get. So there's no point in rewriting the Constitution.
I mean, these are scare tactics, right? Like they're saying this, and they're counting on people just hearing that and thinking, oh my God, that sounds terrifying. And they don't know, well, okay, that's not how this all works. Just go, I guess I can't vote for him. This, this could bring about just the end of civilization as we know it.
That's the whole point.
Mass internment camps.
Throw everyone.
Mass internment camps? How? It wasn't it the Democrats who suggested that for COVID?
Yes, I believe they wanted to throw people, the unvaccinated, in camp.
Unvaccinated.
Yes.
There's more projection. It's like, oh yeah. I mean, Trump wants to throw you in mass internment camps, disagreeing with him. Oh, we did that too want to do that during COVID. Yeah, just ignore that part. We're just hypocrites, but unbelievable. These people, it's nothing but projection there.
Everyone into Gitmo.
Might be sent to jail or their rights might be suppressed, especially minority groups in society.
You might have
Minorities.
You had to get the word in, especially minorities. Oh my God.
Minorities, ladies and gentlemen. If Trump's reelected, we're fucked. But no, not. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like they had like white people, like, oh yeah, minorities. Remember that, minorities. Trust me, vote for Joe Biden. Even
No, it's
though
very much like vote for Joe Biden or you hate minorities. Vote for Joe Biden or you're essentially a Klan member.
yeah, that's what they're going with. It's like when Biden was running in 2020, he went on some, I think it was Breakfast Club or something, where he said something to the effect of, "Oh, if you ain't really black if you don't support me," or something to that effect. I'm
It
like,
was
come
on,
on, dude.
yeah, I think it was Breakfast Club. It wasn't it him and like Charlemagne to God
It was
and
Charlemagne, yes.
yes, if
Yeah.
you don't vote for me, you ain't black. First
Yeah,
of all,
that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
that is so like that's so racist. That's so disgusting. That is despicable. And the fact that Charlemagne just got there and was like, that makes sense.
Makes
No,
sense. Yeah, he would just
no.
nod it along. I'm like, yeah, I mean, come on, man. I mean,
He
it's like,
literally just told you to get yourself back on the Democrat plantation. That's what he said to you. And you're like, oh,
yeah, there was no pushback really. It was like, oh, okay. It's like, because the entire media, the entire establishment decided Trump was going to lose. And he didn't want to lose his job in the Breakfast Club. So he's like, oh, okay. It's like one of those things, And if I'm not sure you saw it, but right after Trump lost and right after Biden was inaugurated, Time Magazine came out with this article, just proud of themselves, how they were involved in helping Trump lose. There was the entire media apparatus just went against Trump.
Yeah.
They were proud. They were embarrassed by it. They're like,
No.
"Hey, we were involved in helping Trump lose and shaping the narrative to trick you to vote for Joe Biden. Aren't we great?" No, you. These are the same people who bitch about Russian interference. They interfered in the election. They didn't cover things properly. They just said everything Trump bad, Biden good, Trump bad, Biden good. Vote for Biden. Oh, Biden won. Yes, we did our job. See, we saved democracy, even though we interfered in the election.
Democracy.
It was just they were proud of themselves. I mean, it's
because
might
ultimately
have
what
any
they're
number
doing is they're not interested in saving democracy. They don't give a damn about democracy. What they're interested in doing is preserving and say what they want to save is their image of democracy. That's what they want to save. And that does not include a character like Trump. They can never let that happen again. To me, it sort of, I think, and what I had said on Twitter essentially was that Trump was the free speech consequence that they were not prepared for. They never thought that would happen, and it did. And it was like, I think it just destabilized their foundation profoundly. So now you get this. Now this is what you get. Because they'll be damned if it happens again.
No, that's why you have the 91 charges. That's why you have all these prosecutions, and that's why you have this compilation in the media. That's why you have all this stuff, because they want to stop Trump in any circumstances. If he's president again, this is what they're doing. Imagine if he's president again. Oh my God, the next 4 years is going to be just hilarious, and at the same time, like, come on. I mean, they're already doing it, and he's not even. They know Biden's going to lose most likely. That's why this is kind of like panic time for these people.
Mm-hmm.
Hell,
right,
Biden is trailing to Nikki Haley, the most boring politician in America.
She is like, the thing about Nikki Haley is I feel like she's pretty much a enough of an identitarian and a warmonger to be in the Democratic Party. I literally don't understand why she's not a Democrat. I don't get it. After watching her in the debates and everything, like,
She's
you need to switch, honey. You need
yeah,
to switch.
she was like, I think recently she said talking about like trans and how the children and stuff. Like, oh, that's up to the parents. She's like,
It was
is she a
her.
Democrat?
No, it was her and Chris Christie.
They both
And
said that. Yeah.
where Chris Christie put up this completely dystopian, disingenuous argument that was like, well, if we ban child sex changes, then that's a slippery slope because then we're
Mhm.
giving the state way too much control. I'm sorry. That is ridiculous. Do children, okay, they can't take a sip of alcohol, they can't smoke a cigarette, they can't drive a car, they can't vote, they can't get a tattoo. There's a whole list of things, but God forbid we don't let them sterilize themselves, mutilate their genitals, make all of these ridiculously intense choices as
Yep.
children that then we're interfering with parents' rights. It's like just stop that. But yeah, it was him and Nikki Haley were both like,
Mhm.
oh, I think this is okay if parents say it's good.
That they're trying to. I'm sure they would say, well, that's a libertarian argument. You know, let people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But it isn't because they're being disingenuous, as you said. You know, they know most of their base is never going to accept that. And on top of that, the second thing is that I would like to apologize for Chris Christie because I'm from New Jersey. I live here right now. We foisted Chris Christie onto the country after 2 terms and acting like he was the greatest governor ever when he was a disaster here. Bridgegate, he shut down the bridges and because he was pissed off at New York. You know, the scandal after scandal after scandal in his administration. So I would like to apologize for Chris Christie being from New Jersey. So yeah, I just want to get that out there. And Nikki Haley, I have not. She's from South Carolina, so that's their thing. They elected her governor twice. So like,
Let's go.
Number of things happen to you and your family.
Every one of us, our freedom, our liberty, none of us is safe.
It's going to have people around him.
Our freedom and liberty, none of us are safe. Okay, I mean, like, what freedom and liberty? I'm lost for words too.
I'm executing against an enemy's list.
Assassinate.
An enemies list. Obama had an enemies list. He had an enemies list. He killed a. He had lists. He had kill lists of Americans and kill lists of foreigners that were allegedly terrorists, and he used that to drone bomb a bunch of them. There were 2 Americans, Armor Alawaki and his kid. They were both killed with drone strikes. They were both on Obama's kill list. So yes, again, that's more projection because Obama had a kill list and he was a Democrat.
But Obama didn't say mean things on Twitter, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's the difference, and that's the most important thing to these people.
Generals
Ordering troops to
Killing generals. Again, that's something I'm sure every president has killed a foreign general at some point. I've ordered her death. I mean, that Trump isn't special in that case either.
attack American citizens.
Trump's very well off.
Attack American citizens. Most U.S. presidents have done that too. But let's ignore that too. You know, I mean, Trump is evil. Orange man bad. Remember, he had to vote for Biden. You know,
Yep.
Even though Biden is close to death and has some kind of dementia, but it doesn't matter. Vote for him because we can control him.
Well-armed and extremist base will try to kill people.
He's going to basically burn the house down.
He will unravel.
That's not such a bad burn the house down. That means burning down your power. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, at this point, the United States Washington especially, is just a joke. You have all these people running around grandstanding and virtue signaling about how great they are and how not racist they are, how much they love the country and how much they want to help people. And meanwhile, they're running around worrying about their own power and protecting each other and trying to get rid themselves of Trump because he embarrasses them.
Yeah, he embarrasses them. Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. That we have Desert in the chat. Hello there. And let's keep. Oh, Liz Cheney. I got no. Delay that.
The institutions of our democracy.
Draw similarity.
Wait, what did she say?
Unravel the institutions of our democracy.
Unravel the institutions of our
It's
democracy.
Too late.
Yeah, that's gone. Democracy is pretty much. I think I posted. I did a long thread on this on Twitter last night. It's like, really, democracy is dead, and I'm not even sure democracy is the best form of government at this point. Is our best two candidates out of 300 million people is a game show host and a politician who's past his prime and has dementia. Those are our two best candidates we can come up with. And on top of that, we have the countries who are running the best are quote unquote authoritarian regimes. And I listed Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping in China. Those are the authoritarian regimes. I mean, but the reason why they're authoritarian because they're president or leader for decades and decades. But at the same time, it's like, but they're two best run countries in the world right now. I mean, but what's better? Changing the guard every 48 years and the same shit happens over and over again? Or one leader, one competent technocratic leader that leads the country through massive issues and stuff the way Xi Jinping and Putin does? I don't know. I mean, what's the best system? I mean, at this point, I'm questioning that. If I actually play it.
Draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler.
Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini.
Hitler, Mussolini. Remember, bad people. Trump disliked them. Okay, understand? Okay.
Trump even more dangerous.
Wants to take away your vote. Senate and the House are immediately going to be paralyzed.
People will begin in.
Based on how the Senate and the House be paralyzed if Trump gets elected?
He doesn't say.
No,
they're not gonna. They're never gonna tell you how.
Yep. Desert says, "Hi, Karyn. You returned for more." Cool. Yep. She's back for round 2, as I said, in the title. But
in their minds to censor themselves. They might say, "Well, maybe I shouldn't say." In their minds
wants to take away your vote. Senate and the House are immediately going to be paralyzed.
People will begin in their minds to censor themselves. They might say, "Well, maybe I shouldn't say this."
Whoa. That's already happening. That's happened.
That is like 100% of the Democrat and a lot of what I have to lump in as the left. Like, is this?
Yep.
You can't say this. You can't say that. This is problematic. That you have to self-censor. That's hilarious.
That's already happening, and Trump is not even president. That's like sleepy old Joe is in the White House, and it's already happening. People are self-censoring, like, oh well, we can't say that word, we can't say this word, we can't say this way, but we can say it this way, or we can't say it at all. So it's already happening. We all, quite frankly, most of us commentators like me, we'd go through this all the time. I mean, there are times where I think about covering something, but at the same time, I'm like, should I cover it? Because if I do, I'm going to say it wrong and I'm going to piss people off or whatever. But I'm going to stop caring about that. But at this point, it's like, it's not worth my time.
Like a YouTube strike or,
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about too. The YouTube strikes, not necessarily what people think, but it's more like, if I say the word like the vaccine, the shot or the vaccine or whatever, all of a sudden I have to say this: the vaccine is safe and effective. You should take as many of them as you can, or else then I get a community strike.
Right.
So we have Gamer here. Hi, Gamer. Hi, and we have Desert in the chat still. So. Yeah, let's continue. Is this Rob Reiner?
No.
I think it looks like him.
Is it?
Yeah, it could be him.
The democracy. Yeah.
I think that could be.
That is him. I'm pretty sure it is him. Even though he looks old and.
Rob Reiner, really?
It looks like him. Yeah, he's just like an old man, like about to die.
Rough. I mean, I know he would be older, obviously, but like that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not doing well right now.
The end of democracy. Yeah.
I think
that democracy. You got to get that talking point in.
Be the end of our democracy.
But democracy is dead if Trump is reelected.
Cozy up to Putin, that democracy will be at risk.
Cozy up to Putin, democracy is at risk. Again, they're still russiagating, even though that's been thoroughly debunked years ago. But they're
I
still
know.
russiagating. Caitlin Collins of CNN is still russiagating. Like he's going to cozy up to Putin again and end the democracy. Trust us, even though there's no evidence for this. But it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Because we keep saying it, it must be true, right? Al Sharpton, he's still on MSNBC. Oh God.
The absolute destruction of the Justice Department as we know it.
The Justice Department
Oh, I love this part.
could be entirely transformed.
I am really concerned about that.
Every person who was associated.
Yeah, the Justice Department could be transformed. I'm worried about that. Have you seen what they've been doing to Trump? They're already a political organization. I mean, a lot of people say, well, it's not Joe Biden. He's not his fault. Maybe it isn't, but somebody is telling Justice Department to go after Trump. And the FBI. Because they've been trying to go after him since he was president. Especially the FBI. Like there's an entire unit in the FBI going after Trump. That's their job, essentially. These are the same agents who broke into Mar-a-Lago, got that warrant, and broke in there illegally, by the way, because there was no reason for that warrant. Because Trump was basically, there's something called the Presidential Records Act, which basically holds that the president can do pretty much whatever he wants with his files, and he can declassify and classify them at will. The only thing he can't do is nuclear secrets. That's a process to declassify nuclear secrets. Everything else, he can do whatever he wants with it, essentially. And that's what he did. And the FBI is like, that unit at least, like, no, we got to get these files back. Because there must have been something in there they didn't want out. So it's like, yeah, let's get a friendly judge to sign this warrant without telling Trump, by the way. He wasn't even there. I think it was in New Jersey. He was like at his golf course here in New Jersey. So they didn't bother telling him. He just broke into Mar-a-Lago, grabbed all the files. Like, hey, we did a warrant. We got all these files.
They do this all completely shamelessly, right? They present it to you as though this is a benevolent act. This is a legal act. This is a just act, right? When in reality, they are acting as authoritarians, but they're just presenting it as, they are the crusaders for justice and they're fighting this evil, and it's a complete reversal.
Yeah, and now they project. It's like, oh yeah, well, Trump, he's going to use the Justice Department for political reasons. He's going to use it for political reasons, even though when he was president, he actually didn't. He could have. Remember, he promised to prosecute Hillary Clinton for her crimes, and he didn't, even though the Justice Department didn't touch her, even though they probably should have, because she did commit all these crimes. Again, I understand why he didn't, because all of a sudden here comes the Democrats saying, it's political. Oh my God, they're going after Hillary. It's political. And they didn't, I don't think he wanted the headache. I don't know what I would. You have to go after. You have to prosecute her. She committed so many crimes that is like you have to go after her. No matter what the political consequence is. You had to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
Hire a special counsel, whatever. But you have to. Trump had to keep that promise, and he didn't ultimately.
Associated with the attempted coup, elevated in the administration.
He's reelected.
There was no coup, and who would be elevated within the next administration?
Also,
most of them.
Here's the thing: saying that January 6th was like a coup or whatever. If that's actually true, that is the most feeble, pathetic, impotent coup attempt in all of history, because coups typically involve things like guns and a plan, strategy. They overtake more than one bill. Like there's a whole process. Like there's just a plan. This was a bunch of people like on a field trip, essentially. I mean, when you have footage of, I'm just going to call them like the tourists in the Capitol,
they were.
who are literally like walking within the velvet ropes. Yeah, that's not a coup. Okay, that's not, it's just so absurd. You have guided tours being given by Capitol Police. This is not a coup, but like we're just so swayable by words and words that are said emphatically. We go, oh my God, it's a coup. No, it's not at all.
Yeah, a coup de. They should. If there was a real coup and Trump was serious, he should have got the CIA on his side because they're the masters of coups.
Yeah.
I mean, they failed there. Trump should have gotten the CIA on his side if he really wanted the coup. Which he didn't. But let's say if he did,
If
get
it
the
was
CIA on his side.
if it was a real coup, see, this is what I don't understand. They're like, oh, Trump's gonna declare martial law, and January 6th was a coup, and all of this ridiculously just histrionic nonsense. Well, okay, if that's true, then why didn't Trump declare martial law on January 6th? Why did he agree to leave office? Do you know what I mean? Like, he had the chance to do all of it. He did none of it.
Yeah,
he told people, if you're going to march to the Capitol, march peacefully, and then he told them to go home. So I'm a little confused.
Yeah. All is like if this was a coordinated effort and a plan as they claim, all you had to do is okay, they're going in the Capitol. The voodoo man, whatever his name was, Nancy Pelosi's desk. Okay, great. I'm gonna declare martial law. They're the new Congress. They're gonna recognize me as the president, and we're done. Nothing you can do about it.
Right.
And instead, it's like, no, go home, be peaceful, march, all that stuff. Like Trump had no intention of doing a coup.
No.
And he lied to the people too. He lied to his audience. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna march with you." Next thing you know, he's back at the White House. But yeah, I mean, he had no intention of doing a coup. It's completely ridiculous. It's a really simple process. Like, oh, those people, those people who did the coup, did a new Congress, and they're gonna recognize me as president. Martial law. Presidents have done this before. Other countries. I'm not sure if you know how Fujimori in Peru did his coup. He did essentially. That's what he did. He had the military go in, shut down Congress, and then basically came out and said, "Oh yeah, I'm canceling the Constitution, and now I'm president for life." Basically, but even
this is what I'm saying. It's like we know what a coup is because we have historical examples we can all point to, and this was none of that.
No, that's what Fujimori did, and what they alleged Trump was going to do is called a self coup, which is essentially shutting down Congress. And because the reason why Fujimori shut down Congress was because they stalled his agenda entirely, and they were trying to get him out of office. So they're blaming him for all the problems. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to shut down Congress. Fuck democracy for a little bit. And of course, he was pressured by the Clinton administration to bring back Congress and stuff. It took a year. He basically ruled by executive order for a year with no Congress. But Trump very easily could have done that, but he didn't because, he had no interest in that. I mean, he was far too lazy and far too he's far too lazy. He just didn't have the interest in doing that. Honestly, I think he wanted to go back home to Mar-a-Lago. He's like, I'm sick of being president. And now he's running again because this is ego, of course. Like, well, I got robbed, so I'm going to run again. And then it's also, honestly, to try to keep himself out of jail too, because they're looking to convict him of anything at this point. So if he becomes president again, they can't put him in jail for at least the next 4 years. So it's like, yeah, I mean,
That he will curb transgender rights and the rule of law.
Curb transgender rights. You heard that? Trump will curb trans rights.
And by that he means not allowing children to have sex changes, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly what they mean, and that's a problem to them.
Arrest political opponents.
To persecute.
Wait. Arrest political opponents. Isn't that what Democrats just did? They arrested Donald Trump multiple times while he's running for president. They arrested him in New York.
What do you call all the January 6 people that are sitting in jail?
They're the definition of political prisoners at this point.
Right, exactly.
They're the definition of political prisoners. Apparently, I'm sure you saw this because you tweeted this. The Supreme Court is considering a case to basically dismiss all the charges against January 6th protesters and Trump too. At least when it comes to January 6th. So that's very interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
If they rule in favor of Trump in January 6th, you know what liberals are going to say? Oh, the illegitimate Supreme Court, the Trump Supreme Court, they ruled in his favor, and and they're protecting coup members and all this other crap. And it's like, it's coming if they rule in favor of Trump and the January 6th people.
100%.
So even I think they should rule in that way because of course the people have the right to protest. They don't have the right to riot, but at the same time, it's like it's not 20 years in prison. It's probably 60 days in jail and a fine, or maybe because it's Congress. But still, I mean, it's not even that usually. Rioting is barely like a few days in jail, not even maybe probation. But they gave the voodoo man like 20 years in prison. Whatever. Am I saying it right? Is he the voodoo guy or that crazy guy that had the costume on January 6th?
Oh, you mean Jacob Chansley?
Yeah, that whatever his name is.
Shaman guy?
The shaman guy, that's it. Yeah, him. They gave him 20 years in prison for that, for just being there and putting his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. 20 years in prison. That's outrageous. There's no crime there. He didn't kill it. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't murder anybody. He just walked into Congress. And by the way, isn't Congress the people's house? Like, you're allowed to be there as citizens.
You would think.
But no, he got 20 years in prison for that. It's like, so that's why these are political prisoners, all these people.
Not prosecute, but persecute his enemies.
Take a wrecking ball to the rule of law. He's going to make the law. Everyone else will have to follow.
A vote for Donald Trump may mean the last election that you ever get to vote in.
To go after
it's the last election you ever get to vote in, ladies and gentlemen.
He is king for life.
He somehow is going to name himself dictator or king. I don't know how he's going to pull that off. I mean, he had the opportunity that we said in 2020. Is a perfect opportunity. They were all in Congress. The congressmen and women were running for their lives, allegedly. He had the opportunity. Like, oh yeah, martial law in the United States. The new Congress I just recognized is going to make me president for life, and it's over. Nothing you can do about it. So yeah, he could have done that. Like, presidents around the world have done this. They declared martial law. They cooed the Congress or legislature, whatever they call it, and that's it. They're president for life. Instead, Trump could have done that. He didn't, and he's not going to. The
independent and free parts of American civic life.
He would tear down our institutions, purge the government of employees.
Department by department effort to weaponize the powers of the government.
To use the military to quash protests.
No, he wouldn't do that because if you remember again, during the George Floyd protests, they were all around, they surrounded the White House, and Trump didn't send the military in at all. He could have, I mean, in theory, but like, nope. He didn't do that at all. So it was like, you know who sent in that whole thing they blamed Trump for. They sent in, oh, there were police with tear gas and it was Trump's fault and all that stuff. No, it turns out after an investigation, it was Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, who sent in those cops. It wasn't even Trump. But they blamed Trump for it because the next day he went out with the Bible. So they connected Trump to that, even though he had nothing to do with that. It's just embarrassing. I mean, CNN said that lie, and the entire media said, "Oh, it was Trump who did that." After an investigation, it turned out it was Muriel Bowser and the DC police who did that. But they don't even try. It's just embarrassing.
Ridding the government of all democratic safeguards.
Okay, this part they're talking about how Trump's going to get rid of the deep state. Or the administrative state, or they're trying to spin it positively. Oh, it's the administrative state. It's not a big deal, guys. Not the deep state. They're the administrative state. And to me, that's not such a bad thing. It's like, oh, yeah, he's gonna fire everybody and all the Washington lifers. Sounds good to me.
That sounds great. I hope that's true.
Yeah, it's like they're complaining about him. Trump. It's okay. Let me try it again. They're planning. They're talking about Plan 2025 or Project 2025, where he's going to institute the Unitarian executive theory, which basically means the president runs everything in the executive branch, and he doesn't have to consult Congress at all. So that's how he gets to fire everybody in the FBI or the CIA or any department. It's directly under his control, or any president's control. Which to me, if he uses that to fire everybody, it's like, okay, sounds good to me. That way Congress can't interfere. Great.
Junking American democracy as we have always known it.
That he would try to stay in office beyond a second term, that he would never leave office.
There's no question.
Trump is reelected, he won't leave.
Donald Trump will never leave office voluntarily.
And what that means is that everybody who wants us to remain a republic has to put every other thing aside.
And she always does that. She says one sentence and dramatic pause, and then she continues.
It is. It's intentional. It's the dramatic pause. It's just very performative. And
Rachel Maddow I hate to say this, but she's a great, orator and performer. Just the base that, and that's how she makes $30 million a year now at MSNBC. And she works part time. She didn't work every day. She works like a few months here. She takes 6 months off. She comes back a few months. And, so she doesn't even work full time anymore. And she still makes that much money because the liberals love her. Look what she did there. And she started MSNBC as Keith Olbermann's understudy. Keith Olbermann, she would constantly have her on her show.
Don't you kind of think, though, that, like, she looks like a female Keith Olbermann?
She does. People have said that before, and it's like, oh, I can kind of see it. Yeah.
If Keith was trans or something, Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, she was Keith Olbermann's understudy at MSNBC. He's the reason why she has a show, because at the time he was a top rated host, and basically he wanted Rachel Maddow's show to follow him at 9 because he was at 8 for years. And now, I think it was a few months ago, I heard MSNBC wanted to hire Keith Olbermann back, and then Rachel Maddow like, no, don't hire him back. He's crazy. It's like, how ungrateful are you?
Coming from
if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't get a job. You wouldn't even have a job at MSNBC. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, oh well, fuck Keith Olbermann. He's crazy. Oh, he is. Don't get me wrong. He is crazy, but I thought Rachel would be a little more grateful.
Right, exactly. She's like, no, I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
And work together urgently right now to stop that from happening.
All right, so that's the end of the compilation. But yeah, I mean, that was insane. It's like, and it took us 30 minutes to get through that 3-minute clip. Holy crap!
It was like 45 minutes. What I find really interesting, though, is like how they have this. When it comes to Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like these people. So he is simultaneously this complete idiot. He's a clown. He's dumb. He's a moron. He's a buffoon. He's all of these things. And then also at the same time, he is the most dangerous man we've ever seen. He's going to be dictator for life. He's going to, do you know what I mean? Like these two very different things that run completely parallel to each other and are both true at the same time. They couldn't be more different.
Yeah, they want it both ways. Like and they want it both ways. And it's like, oh yeah, he's an idiot, he's a moron, he's failed at every business venture he's ever had, all the talking points you heard. But at the same time, he's a criminal mastermind, a genius. He's like Darth Vader. He's going to take over everything and try to be president for life. Which one is it? I mean, he can't be both at the same time, but he is. They want you to believe that. It's absurd. Okay.
And then that, it's just an amazing thing when you put that compilation up against the story, I think, that came out yesterday that said he is now leading with every swing state.
Yeah, he's leading in every swing state, and it's not even within the margin of error. So I've seen some as high as 6 or 7 points in Arizona and Georgia, everywhere.
Unless you are prepared to condemn at least half the population as just horrible, deplorable people, as Hillary would have us believe, then you got to consider another option, which is that maybe, he's not this like horrible demon, and maybe half the population is not, Nazis, and maybe there's a reason for all of this. But that's not what they want. They really want this very polarized, very comic book kind of view.
Yep. And I'm sure everybody has heard by now. I'm not going. I just found out about this recently, and so did Karyn. The whole scandal in Congress about how two staffers made a gay sex tape inside Congress. The video's on Twitter. I saw it, but I'm not going to show it here because it's explicit. Except for there's a like a censored part where the genitals are at, but you see everything pretty much. You know what's going on. Is like. And then meanwhile, these are the same people, as we talked about before the show. These are the same people who complain about how Lauren Boebert was inappropriate, groped and touched, and they touched each other inappropriately, and how much of a slut Lauren Boebert is. Like some of the online left commentators are calling her a slut, and I'm like, really? These are the same people who are supposed to be open-minded and liberated and stuff, and they were calling her a slut. They were slut shaming her, and I'm like, dude, the one I'm specifically thinking of is Kyle Kalinske, like some great progressive commentator. Allegedly, he's so open-minded, and meanwhile, as soon as Lauren Boebert does like anything like that, all of a sudden she's a giant slut and a whore.
I'm telling you, it was every progressive male feminist.
Yeah,
because they're the first ones. They're the first ones to do like the slut shaming thing and all of that. It's always the progressive male feminists. But I just think it's going to be interesting because now you have this, which is way more explicit and graphic than what happened with Lauren in a dark theater. This is literally in a government building. This is in the Senate.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna just see, my prediction is those same people that were just so outraged will now minimize the hell out of this, and in addition be able to say, oh, well, if you are upset about this, you hate gay people, you're homophobic, because they'll glom on to that real quick.
And they're all, you are anti-gay and all this other shit. I'm like, dude, I mean, I was like, really? I mean, it's on it. The video is right there on Twitter or X. Is like, holy crap! Is like they literally pulled. They did everything. They're totally naked, and somehow they're all it's like, wow. And then I get these are the same people. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say, like, if you literally think that two gay men are not able to control themselves from making a sex tape on the floor of the Senate, then I think you're the one that is anti-gay, because I honestly think that gay people are able to conduct themselves like everybody else. Like, there's no, do you know what I mean? Like, I think making that like anti-gay is like, that's pretty homophobic. It's like, oh, so because of who they sleep with, we can't criticize this behavior because, oh, but they're gay. That's so infantilizing, and to me, that's actual homophobia.
No, I mean, hey, I mean, what do you expect from them? They're homosexual, so of course they're gonna pull their pants down and bang on the Senate floor, even though wherever it was, even though you wouldn't say that if it was a male or female. Like, if let's say it was a senator with his assistant, a female assistant, and they started just banging on the Senate floor wherever they were. It's like, no, you wouldn't say that. You would be, especially if you're a Republican, you'd be saying, kick him out of office, kick him out of office. Let's go right now. So, anyways, I saw this another compilation by the same people, and I like because it's for I love. It's a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've seen this one.
It says, yeah, haven't seen it either. So actually, I partly watched it, but it says Democrats attack Trump for using DOJ to investigate his rival, Banana Republic. Huh. Trust me, and because we all know they did it, they are doing it right now. But yeah.
Now that he's got the right attorney general in position to do it, we now know they really have been trying to gin up criminal prosecutions and criminal investigations into the president's perceived enemies, politically motivated persecution, right? Courtesy of Bill Barr. I'll roll in the FBI on you. That's how banana republics work, right?
The home of the 45th president of the United States has been raided by the FBI.
Whoops, how's that? She claimed that Bill Barr was going to investigate political enemies of Trump, and as soon as Biden gets into office, what happens? Oh, yeah, Mar-a-Lago gets raided, and there's a warrant from a friendly judge that shouldn't give him the warrant to begin with. But, yeah, I mean, but meanwhile, it was Trump. Trump was the one who's going to do that.
Mr. Trump is using the Justice Department to go after his perceived enemies. I feel worried about the prospect of the Justice Department being used as a tool of this president or any. In our little banana republic, any capable prosecutor can get a grand jury to hand down an indictment of something as innocent as a ham sandwich.
Today, an indictment was unsealed.
Oops.
Charging Donald J. Trump.
Breaking news on former President Trump. He's been indicted for the 4th time in 5 months.
Bill Barr on the president's behalf.
4 times in 5 months he was indicted. And this is after Biden took office. This isn't before. 4 times in 5 months. Joe Biden wasn't indicted 4 times in 5 months when he was running.
No.
Obama wasn't indicted 4 times in 5 months when Trump became president. Bill Clinton wasn't indicted 4 times. Hillary Clinton wasn't indicted 4 times. I can go on with any other Democrat.
Yet it's Trump that's gonna go after his political opponents.
I can't. It's like they live in their own. Liberals live in their own world. These liberals, and it's like, oh yeah, Trump's evil. Keep us in power. Oh, let us do everything we said Trump was gonna do. Because that protects democracy somehow. Because Trump is anti-democratic.
Half is weaponizing the Justice Department to go after the president's enemies. When you win an election, you don't seek to just prosecute the losing side.
The president using the Justice Department as a weapon to get what he wants.
Department of Justice is totally politicized.
Sicking the Department of Justice on political opponents.
Threatening to imprison his political rival, Banana Republic style.
Trying to exact revenge against all of his enemies. Tin pot dictator in a banana republic.
Is acting more like a banana republic dictator.
He's using government resources to
Karyn Jean-Pierre, Biden's current press secretary. She was in the press at the time. She worked for, I think, Salon.
She's like professionally stupid, like just professionally moronic,
Like, I can't believe Biden named her press secretary. I mean, it's like this is her constantly in the press briefing. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'll let the White House know. I'll let the president know. Like, she's one of the worst press secretaries in the planet, the country's ever had. And I know the press secretary's job is to lie to us, essentially, but she's bad at her job. I mean, she's awful. And Jen Psaki was like one of the best, honestly. I mean, she'd tell you with a straight face all her bullshit, but with a straight face and with conviction. Meanwhile, she goes like nothing. It's like, who believes that? I mean, but I can't believe that Biden named her press secretary. And on top of that, she was in the press. She worked for Salon. She was supposed to be a reporter. And now she's in the administration, like, oh, yeah, now I do propaganda. So it shows how little integrity she has.
To go after his political opponent.
Essentially, we are a banana republic, that we are seeking to have a bogus and criminal investigation into a political opponent.
And that's using the Department of Justice to also get Trump's political opponent for nefarious reasons. This is a massive abuse of power and a betrayal of our values.
The President of the United States is targeting a family member of a political opponent. This is the type of thing that happens in a banana republic.
And trying to take out a political rival in Joe Biden.
Criminally investigating an American political rival, someone the president is worried about losing to in the next election.
To investigate my principal opponent or a principal opponent in the upcoming election. Houston, we have a problem.
Wait, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. How did they do this? How did they? I couldn't do this. I could not go and say one thing and then turn around and do the opposite and hope nobody notices and say it with a straight face.
I think they're so emboldened. Well, I'm torn because actions like this, to me, you could either see it as, okay, they're so emboldened that they don't care. They'll do this and they don't even care if you can watch this and know they're full of it, whatever, they're going to do it and like it doesn't matter. There's that, but there's also, on the other hand, is like, no, this is what you do when you are so damn desperate. This is all you have, is like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because this can also be a big sign of weakness where it's like, oh, we got nothing except this shit.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
So I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's like It's like I there are times where I am kind of like torn too. I think, oh no, they do it on purpose. But meanwhile, it's like, well, they do it on purpose and they don't care. But at the same time, it's like, oh well, what if they are so desperate? This is all they got because they're so afraid of Trump winning again.
And it's totally possible. They see the polls. They know that Biden is, I mean, he's he needs to be like in a nursing home. This is like elder abuse at this point. I don't care how you feel about him.
Yeah.
There's nothing. This is insane. He doesn't know how to get off stage. He can't form a sentence. He barely has bladder control. Like, I mean, oh my God. He can't run. You're going to put him on a debate stage? Come on. So
they're running
I
him.
don't know.
They're running him because they think he's the only one that can beat Trump, even though he's down in the polls and stuff. And on top of that, even if he did run, I mean, it's like really Trump isn't gonna. I mean, or Biden isn't gonna beat Trump, not
No.
again, especially after
And
all this.
I don't know who they can. I think they feel trapped because they have no bench. Look at
No.
the Democrat Party. They have no bench. Who are you going to put in? Kamala? She couldn't get like one delegate. She couldn't carry her own state. She's totally radically unpopular. Okay. Who do you have?
It's worse. She dropped out before her own state.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she just had nothing.
Bye-bye. Because
Hi, Desert.
yeah. I mean, hey, oops. Okay, we're good. I thought I messed up, but yeah, I mean, it's like, and then let me keep playing this for. I had something, but I lost my train of thought.
Problem. Don't you think that's something that should be investigated when the incumbent political party opens a counterintelligence investigation on the candidate of the opposing party?
We know Trump is itching to politicize the Justice Department, and the Attorney General has been super shady.
The president is weaponizing the Department of Justice to bring cases against his enemies. The Department of Justice is in an existential crisis.
Again, it's yet another example of the Justice Department basically losing all of its independence in this administration.
This is now about corrupting the next election. And for me, this was...
Joe Lockhart, former communications VP, Facebook. He works for Facebook. I mean, it's like the entire media, the entire media is like, they're pro all this stuff. And it's like, he's Facebook. I mean, Facebook, the old Twitter before Elon Musk took over, and Google were all arms of the Democratic Party. I've said this. Yeah. I said it many times on Twitter. 100%. Now, Twitter today, I mean, X today is kind of like, it's been ostracized thanks to, like, they perceive Elon Musk as being right wing, so they hate Twitter now, or X. But before, I'm talking about before he bought it, they were all arms of the Democratic Party.
Oh yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, and the other one, Google. They're all arms of the Democratic Party. They're, and Facebook and Google still are, or Meta or Google, or Meta or Alphabet, whatever company they run.
was crossing the red line. A president who is actively trying to potentially steal the upcoming election.
But to try to take out a political rival. The end goal being 2020.
Donald Trump and his attorney general are using the Justice Department. The only difference between this and a banana republic is that Trump does not eat fruit.
The 2020 election is really the last chance we have to stop our system from fully sliding into a corrupt banana republic.
Bill Barr has done everything that Donald Trump has wanted him to do. Yeah. We're living in a banana.
No, he didn't. Bill Barr refused to. It was something. What was it? He refused to go after political. Didn't he? I thought he refused something major of Trump.
Oh, you know what? I don't know on that one, so I'm not gonna. I have a guess, but I'm gonna not say anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. If I watch it, I'll remember after the show and get mad at myself. But yeah, he did. He wasn't fully like behind Trump's authoritarian takeover, whatever they claimed.
But it's like
banana republic right now.
When you start,
was that? Sorry,
I was just gonna say, like, you see what they're all doing. They all get like the same memo. So it's like now we've got the buzzword for this is like banana republic, banana republic. They're all gonna say banana republic. They all get the talking points, right? And they're already, you can tell, they're already setting it up so that to put in your mind, if Trump wins, it's illegitimate. It was stolen. They've already told you this. They're telling you this. He's going to steal the election. Therefore, okay, he can't legitimately win. We've already been told by an expert, right? We've already been told that if he wins, it's illegitimate and it was stolen. They're setting you up already.
Yeah, and I think who was it? It was a MSNBC or CNN host that said that Trump would collude with Russia again. So they're probably going to do Russiagate 2.0 on all of us.
They've told you the narrative. They're telling you the story.
And they'll use that to justify to continue involvement in Ukraine and that hopeless proxy war. So, and Trump would have to go along with it because or else he's pro Putin and pro Russia. So I guarantee you that war will continue, even though Trump would be against it technically. But he's not. If he tries to stop it, oh, you're pro Putin. That's why he bombed Syria that one time because he was pressured politically to do something because Russia was interfering in Syria's war, even though that's what we did the whole time. Again, it's more hypocrisy, more projection, more.
Start using the Justice Department to go after your enemies. That's very, very dangerous.
Donald Trump is using the Department of Justice to go after his enemies in any way that he can.
Having the head of the chief federal law enforcement agency essentially working on his behalf to investigate a political rival.
To investigate the family of a political opponent, basically banana republic behavior.
We're no better than some, some banana republic.
He's using the abuse of power and every element of the presidency to try to do something to smear me.
What?
We just have to demonstrate that he will not take power. But
I didn't understand what he said at the end there because he mumbled it. But yeah, I mean, it's just the same old nonsense again. And it's like, that's everything they did. They're doing right now with Trump with Biden as president. Everything they claimed that Trump would do, they're doing. And they're doing it worse. And it's just, I'm looking, oh, here it is. Is this it? Yeah, there's a video. Hunter Biden refused to testify in Congress.
I saw that.
He was supposed to.
Just reminded me of like a high school kid like not showing up for like an exam or something. Like that's what I thought of. Where it's just like he skipped school. He skipped his deposition. I don't know.
He skipped. He was subpoenaed. He skipped testimony.
It was like he wouldn't do the closed door subpoena, right? Like that, the deposition, the closed door deposition.
And then he said, well, I want it open to the public. And I'm like, no, you don't. I guarantee you don't. Because then at that point, either A, you would have to be honest about all your crimes, or B, you would have to take the fifth 100 times. And you don't want that out there. You don't want to be embarrassed. What he's doing, he's grandstanding. He's hoping the Republicans won't subpoena him for a public hearing, or
Yeah.
he's trying to call their bluff. And there's a Republican already saying they're going to hold him in contempt. So they're going to try to jail him for not showing up to testify.
Good God.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they do. I hope they shall hold him in contempt because right now they're saying, "Oh, we're going to do it. We're going to do it for sure." But right now, I don't know. I believe it when I see it because Republicans have been kind of weak when it comes to prosecuting.
They're so weak. Like, they're just such a, I don't know. They're just sort of this like feckless party. Like, they never want to like hold Democrats accountable. And when they're able to put forth consequences, they won't.
Yeah.
Like, I always want to like go along, get along, whatever. But like, the Democrats don't play like that, especially not anymore. Like,
No.
I mean, I remember when I was not, not only on the left, but like way back when I was actually like, okay, I'm a Democrat, and that was, I mean, probably like, I mean, I was young, but I'm thinking of like the Clinton years and things like that, where it's just like, oh, of course, being on the left means being a Democrat and like, whatever. Yeah. It always had seemed to me that it was the Democrats that were like, oh, we want to just be nice. We're not going to do anything. And it always looked to me like the Republicans were the ones that were much ballsier and would go and actually do things. And I think maybe at that time that was true to an extent, but certainly now it's so reversed. Like, the Republicans are so just, oh, I accidentally sat on my pup's tail. I'm sorry, buddy. You okay? Okay. Greyhounds are very dramatic. If you like do anything, they have like a death scream of like, oh my God. And you good? You leaving? Okay. He's like, no, I'm gonna go to the other couch. But yeah, I think that, the Republicans, it's like they just they have no real fight. Like, I feel like the party needs a shot of Viagra or something, and again, I'm not a Republican, but just watching it, right? It's like, you don't do anything. Even when you can, you don't go. You're just like, oh, can you just say you're sorry? Okay, that works. They're sorry.
Yeah, it's too much. I mean, it's like, they huff and puff about actually holding Democrats to account, and they never actually do it.
They
It's
don't.
like, they never do it, and then they go like, well, I mean, we couldn't, or something happened, So
Right.
it's just excuses.
So, we'll see. I mean, I don't know what they're ultimately going to do with Hunter or with, now they've launched the impeachment inquiry, which I think most likely is just going to be like more performative stuff, because it's like, okay, you can say like, okay, the Republicans, I mean, cool. All right. You want to do that. Okay. But the trial is going to take place in the Senate. Nothing's going to happen from this. I don't think. I would be shocked.
The impeachment is just like the Democrats did twice. So it's political. It's just like Biden's impeachment. It's like, and the liberals are like, oh, this is a way. This is political. It's outrageous. So outrageous. So he'll never get convicted in the Senate. They did the same exact thing, not once but twice, and they knew Trump wasn't going to get convicted and removed from office. So it was just a waste of time in political.
No, it's literally political theater.
And
like,
now
buy your ticket.
Yep. And now Republicans turn around and say Biden's an impeached president, because that's another thing liberals use against Trump. The twice impeached president. Now Republicans turn around and say, well, Biden was impeached too. So,
Mhm.
and now they'll turn around and say, "Oh, it's not fair. I mean, it's political." The Trump one wasn't. I mean, we swear it was real. We had evidence, and he wasn't convicted. It's absurd. It's just like it's on. This is why I can't stand Washington, and I can't stand voting, and I can't stand people who support any candidate. Just gives me like, ugh. It's like, nothing's gonna change anyway. So it's not worth my time anymore.
Yeah, I think definitely what we've seen too, and I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but like to me it almost looks like the very role of the presidency, kind of no matter who's occupying it, like they're sort of it's becoming more of just like this figurehead kind of position and this like symbolic position versus
Yeah.
actual power, because it just feels like the bureaucratic nonsense, or like the bureaucratic state, that's where the power is. And those people, and you can get into all the agencies like the FBI, the CIA, all of these agencies that have a lot of power, but they're not elected. We don't know who these people are. We're not voting
Mhm.
on this. They see president after president. They see turnover. They see all that, but they're still there. These are the
Yeah,
people to me that have a lot of power. Whereas, like the president, it's like, here's a little thing you all can fight over and vote. But, like, ultimately, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's some difference, of course, but like generally, I I don't know. I mean, because like with Biden, right?
Mhm.
They know that we, meaning the people, know that he's completely gone mentally, physically. Like they're aware and they don't care. They literally do not feel like they have to hide this from people. They're like, yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Because there's so much power that it's like they don't even give a fuck if they're like, oh yeah, the people know that their president's like a shell at this point that's like just functioning on like Adderall or whatever. Like they do not care. They are not afraid of people knowing that.
No, because as because Biden doesn't make any decisions. He makes,
No.
and it's like, okay, it's the Washington lifers and the State Department. They handle foreign policy. Washington lifers and the Department of Health and Human Services, they handle domestic policy or whatever, and that's it. I mean, the administration has, especially with Biden in charge, very little say. It's like basically his staffers are nothing but babysitters at this point, or
Right.
elder sitters, let's say.
It's like if Biden put something on Twitter and then you see him getting like all ratioed. I'm like, do you motherfuckers think that like Biden's running his Twitter? Do you think Biden is writing anything that he puts on Twitter? All of these people, like, they're not running their own Twitter.
Some
You
20-year-old
know?
intern at the White House, it's like, oh, here, you're an intern, run the president's Twitter account,
It's
and
literally some like green-haired they them that is
Mhm.
running Biden's Twitter. Okay, that's who you're yelling at. I mean, it's just he can't put a sentence together.
Yeah,
He doesn't know where he is.
and he's the president, and we have to call him the president. Even it's insane. And as
Which feels like
Greg,
the biggest fuck you, right? Like the fact that it's like, yeah, no, Trump does run his Twitter.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
100% Trump runs his Twitter. I also think that I think Vivek runs his Twitter. You can kind of tell the ones that do. And there
Mhm.
are members of Congress, they might run their own, but I think when it comes to, I was really just specifically addressing Biden, because from watching him speak that there's no way he's tweeting. But yeah, you can certainly tell the ones that do, and I think, yeah, Trump absolutely runs his own Twitter.
Now
Um,
it's his True Social, but yeah, I mean, he
yeah,
ran his own Twitter account. He
yeah,
tweeted once since Elon Musk gave
put
him
him
his
back.
account back, and it was the mugshot, when he got
Mhm.
arrested.
And like again, that was funny. Like, that's funny.
Yeah,
That goes a long way.
yeah. So what do we do on election day? I'm considering RFK Jr., but I don't know if there anymore. Me, I don't know. I might not even vote. I don't even care. And it's like, oh well. Before I was like, I might vote for Cornel West. Now it's like, fuck him too. I mean, I
Yeah.
probably won't vote for anybody at this point. It's like, I'm not sure what either you're supporting someone or not, but
I
I'm not.
no, I mean, at this point, like, there's things about certain uh candidates um that I can appreciate or be like, okay, like I do like a lot of things about Vivek. I find Trump very entertaining.
Mhm.
Um, whether or not the only thing I know for absolute certainty is I'm not voting for a Democrat. That is the only thing that I can
Neither
tell
am I.
you with
Mhm.
100% certainty. Whether I vote or don't vote, I will tell you that if I end up voting red, it'll be the first time in my entire life that has ever happened. And I don't know. I am not ruling anything out. The only thing I have ruled out is voting for a Democrat. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not voting for a Democrat, and I don't know. I mean, and honestly, I'm not going to use this show to promote a politician. I mean,
No.
there is a
Only
lot of
fun.
there's a lot of people, especially in the Bernie years. I mean, a lot of the online left, the famous ones, they use Bernie to get their fame, like
Yeah.
Kyle Kalinske or the Young Turks or Sam
They're
Cedar.
completely
They're
useless.
all of them. They use Bernie to get their
Total
fame.
idiots at this point.
Mm.
It's like when we were chatting on Twitter last night about Brianna, and I think the same thing applies to Crystal and Kyle. They are there to make the establishment and the status quo palatable. That's what they're there to do, while pretending, they want to change some of the optics. They want to, like some nice, they don't, that is their social class.
Mm-hmm.
That is what they are loyal to. They are there to make the establishment palatable to you, tolerable, vote, shut up, and then whine. That's what they're there to get people to do.
Yeah, and it's pathetic. I mean, it's just like they all use Bernie to get their fame, also their subscribers. I could do the same thing. I can go like, today I'm supporting RFK Jr. Please, I'm going to buy a T-shirt. I'm going. Please vote for RFK Jr. I probably get 500 subs like that, maybe
Yeah,
1,000. It's easy. I mean, I can do that right now.
well, yeah, put in any candidate and you could do
Yeah.
that. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like I probably will make a decision of if to vote and who to vote for on the day. You know what I mean? I think it's going to really
Yeah.
come down to that. I think that I don't know how this is all going to shake out, and I just have this like feeling that it just feels like we're coming to such a boiling point that I just think 2024 is going to kind of be a complete psychotic break in a lot of ways for society. I think it just feels like there's something building. I don't know what it is. I can't articulate it, but it just feels like the temperature all the way around, and the desperation and the resentment, and just there's no release valve. Do you know what I mean? There's just
Yeah.
no fucking release valve. So
Yeah, and to me, that's probably part of the plan. I
yeah,
mean, just keep people as poor as possible, as desperate as possible. Keep them fighting among themselves to the point where something happens. I don't know what, as you said, and just blows up, and they get to institute martial law. They get to keep their power
right,
permanently. There's
right.
nothing that so that's I wouldn't. I mean, 2024 is going to be a big year one way or another. It's going to be
Mhm.
transformative for this country one way or another.
Yeah,
Either Trump gets reelected and we go right back to 4 more years of Russiagating and 4 more years of impeachments and 4 more years of not much getting done, and nothing gets done anyways. I don't know why I even said that. Nothing gets done anyways. No change happens. It's change on the outside, continuity on the inside. That was the old Obama thing. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I want to stick a middle finger to the Dems. They alienated me. I voted for him since I was 18. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I mean, my first election was 2004. I'm 37, so my first election 2004, and I voted for Kerry. Then I voted for Obama twice, and then I voted by 2016. I voted third party for the first time because the way
Yeah.
Democrats screwed Bernie.
Yeah. Yes, that was essentially my trajectory as well. And I think like I mean, I realize like we have a lot of kind of vote shaming in
Mm-hmm.
this culture, no matter where you fall. But and I feel, look, I used to be a part of that, so like I get it. But I'm really at the point where, you know, like I said, no matter who I vote for, like if I end up voting for Trump or VBAC or whatever, like I'm not fucking apologizing to anybody. Like I
Yeah,
will
you shouldn't.
shout that. I don't care. And I know my vote doesn't really do anything. It would literally be like symbolic. It's literally fuck you. And you know, I feel like there's so many people, like there's just a lot of hypocrisy too, because people especially, I am sorry to throw women under the bus, but I'm going to for a second, because I was this way too. Where it's like, oh, I just give me the pro-choice candidate. That's all I care about. I am a single issue voter on this. Okay, cool. Well, if you get to do that, then I get to be a single issue voter now on a candidate that knows what a woman is.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh no, but you can't do that because abortion's the most important issue, and Roe versus Wade being overturned. I think we talked about this last time, but it's like it's going to be a political disaster for the Republicans. I mean, it's like they didn't really want it overturned.
It's
Now
not.
Democrats get to turn around. That's all they talk about. Roe versus Wade. Vote for us. We'll reinstitute
Yeah,
it
they're
somehow.
not going to ever do that. It's only ever going to be a fundraising thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that any Republican with half a brain is ever going to be the hill that they're going to die on. It might end up just being states issues. Okay, that still does not make it outlawed. I do not support it being outlawed. I want to be very clear. But it is no longer my like, oh, everything else can fall by the wayside. No. But I'll tell you, somebody knowing what a fucking woman is and acknowledging biological reality, that's important. I will die on that hill. So what I'm saying is I don't know what I'm going to do, but no matter what I do, I'm not apologizing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not. I'm not going to vote for a Democrat. Republican
I don't know.
depends if Trump's a nominee, and because I thought about doing this in 2020, voting for Trump as a fuck you, but I didn't. I voted third party, and now in 24, and it's like, oh, Trump might do the unitary executive theory and get rid of most of the insiders in Washington. I would consider voting for him if he did that.
There's so many, and it's amazing to see like how many people this time around are coming out for him, because I think too that like all of this persecution that is so obviously political and people feel so screwed over in general that they relate to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Greg is 100% right.
Yeah, he
We owe
is.
them no apology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
you've got all of these rappers coming out for Trump. Just really like the black vote in general, I feel like you see going up for him. And like, good, because the Democrats sure as hell don't deserve it.
No, I mean Trump is I think in the last poll I saw he's either up on with Latino vote or he's like 2 points behind Biden. I mean,
yeah, it's very close. It's very close.
And in my lifetime, I think the most the most Latinos voted for Republican. I think it might have been George W. Bush in 2004. And the only reason why what?
Was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like nearly 40% voted for Bush because I think the only
Wow.
reason why because he's fluent in Spanish. So yeah, so
Okay.
he was able to do ads in Spanish, fluently, and that appealed to Latinos. So they all voted. A lot of them voted for Bush, especially since a lot of Latinos are socially conservative.
Mhm.
So when
Yeah.
Bush came out, he was anti-gay marriage, he was anti-abortion, he was all this stuff. So like,
Right.
oh, and he said it to me in Spanish. Oh, great, I'm gonna vote for him.
Yeah. No, I
That-
get it.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
hmm Yeah, so let's get to the George Floyd topic. We kind of
Um,
discussed this before the show a little bit.
I know you were like late because you were like, wait, I'm rattled.
Yeah, I was by the Fall in Minneapolis documentary, which you put me onto. I had no idea even existed, but it just
So, oh my God. I was a mess after watching that. I was not okay. I watched it like 2 weeks ago and I couldn't sleep. Like I was not okay. That is sobering. Like I said to you, sobering is a staggering understatement when you watch
yeah.
that.
And I heard that Derek Chauvin was stabbed 22 times in prison last
He
week.
was.
And I saw this and I was like, "Oh, wow." And then I assume it was the African American prisoner basically said, "I stabbed an inmate who carried out the stabbing told investigator he did it on Black Friday as a symbolic connection to Black Lives Matter movement."
So the guy who stabbed him was a former FBI informant. I don't know if you know that,
Oh no.
and was a member of BLM. Now, this stabbing occurred within like 2 days or something of Derek Chauvin's appeal being rejected, and then within like 5 days or a week or something like that of this documentary coming out that really shows that he didn't commit murder. So I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think all of that is a coincidence.
No, I don't think it is either. And initially, when I saw that, I always thought that Chauvin isn't guilty of second-degree murder, but I thought he was guilty of some sort of manslaughter or
Mhm.
criminal negligent homicide because I didn't think they called the ambulance.
Mhm.
But it turns out they did, and they did
You
rather
wouldn't know.
quickly.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't know unless you watch the documentary that not only did they call the ambulance
Mm.
straight away, the ambulance, and then as you saw, like didn't show up, went to the wrong place, they didn't hook up the equipment properly, and also the autopsy. His airway was completely intact. There was not a trace of trauma. He died of a fentanyl overdose that they say he would have died in had he just been sitting in a chair.
This is a part of the autopsy report we saw in the documentary. I mean, let me see. Yeah, here we go. No life-threatening injuries identified. No facial, oral, muscular, or that word there. No injuries or blah, blah, blah. No scalp, tissue, skull, brain injuries. No chest software, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there was nothing. It was just, here, the blood and drug, blah, blah, blah. He had fentanyl in his system. He had norfentanyl, and he had something else. What was it? It was a meth too. He had in the system.
Well, and the thing is, so as you know, because I know you said you have about 40 minutes left on the documentary to watch it.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, they show you the entire body cam footage, which you've
Yeah.
really never seen unless you watch that. And it's crystal clear. It's not an easy watch at all. The whole situation is just terrible. But you see, he has something in his mouth. He has drugs in his mouth. He's acting erratic in the store. You quickly see that this entire thing, they took it and they spun it into basically a political fairy tale for the social justice movement. That's what happened. It's like it was like a real life made for TV movie, meaning they took an event and were like, okay, let's spin this and sell it to the public as something it totally isn't. And they burned a city because of this. I mean,
They allowed it's probably the most egregious example of politicians not doing their job and protecting a city. They
It's
allowed
so
a city
true.
to be burned on purpose,
Yep.
and they openly is like, and they abandoned a police station. I've never seen
Mhm.
a police station get abandoned like that, and just oh yeah, here rioters, you can have the police station, destroy it, and do whatever
Did
you
you
want
get
with
to
it.
the part in the documentary yet where they wouldn't allow the police to put on their riot gear?
Yeah, I got through
Yeah.
that part.
It's like
They literally just abandoned not only the citizens that nothing that weren't rioting, they abandoned their own police force. And again, you might if you're on the left, you might say, "Good, fuck the police," but at the same time, it's like that those particular cops didn't do anything wrong. And hell, even Chauvin didn't do, none
they
of them
didn't
did
do
anything
anything wrong.
wrong. That
This is the training. And like we were talking about off camera, and I think you put it really well, optical illusion. He's not kneeling on George Floyd's neck. It's
so
a shoulder blade. It's an entirely optical illusion.
so the lady that recorded the video had it like this, and you initially it was like I that's the video everybody saw. I saw it too,
It
and
looked
it's
that way to me.
yeah, it looked like it was on the neck.
24/7.
Yeah, it looked like it was on the neck. And then once you look at the body cam, it's like, oh, it's on the shoulder blades. But the problem is the jury never saw that, as you know.
They wouldn't allow so much evidence into that trial. They
Yeah.
wouldn't even allow a change of venue for the trial, even though you had this mass
Chauvin
protest and everything. They would not allow any of it because they had this conviction done before the trial even started.
Chauvin was never going to get a fair trial in Minneapolis. It was zero chance of that because of all the political stuff. Al Sharpton was there. There were all these activists there, and they were saying convict Chauvin, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, and now looking back on it, well, he was never going to get a fair trial in Minneapolis. They had to move that trial to St. Paul, or the feds had to take over, or something. I mean, if it's a civil rights violation, as a lot of people claimed, the feds should have taken over and prosecuted the case and moved it to St. Paul or wherever the capital. Instead, it's like, nope, it's like, we're going to do it here in Minneapolis, and no matter what's going to happen, we're going to convict them. And they did. The second degree murder or something.
So it's just
And that I think
terrible.
it was the PRT move where you put on the shoulder blades.
Mhm.
The cops lied about that. There were two cops that testified that, oh no, that's not standard procedure. I know it is because I know they were at when I I have a family member who's a cop in Puerto Rico, and
Mhm.
they do that move. I mean, it's standard operating
Yeah,
procedure in
I know.
nearly every department in the country. But they
Mhm.
turn around and is like, oh no, that's not standard operating procedure.
It was
And
in the manual though. You
yeah,
see that, like, it's in
but
their manual.
Chauvin's mother has two manuals. Like, well, it's here. These are the manuals that my son had. They're right here. You can make the argument that the PRT move is dangerous or whatever. That's fine, but it's in the manual. So he was following procedure at that point.
Mhm.
So yeah, and did you? I assume you've seen the whole documentary. The part with the
Mhm.
lady firefighter who the one I think she's the one who recorded the video, and
Mhm.
she was like, and I'm like, damn, who can stand this woman? I mean, like you could tell in the body cam, you can tell how much for some reason she hated cops. You could tell she was cursing out that one cop for no reason. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? And usually firefighters and cops are kind of like they work together a lot. So I'm kind of surprised how she treated those cops there. And then what was it was part of her testimony. What was it? I don't remember what it is right now, but it was something she struggled to answer a question. And what was it? It was something about the 911 call. She was like, "Oh, I should have called 911 sooner. I knew there was in danger." And oh no, I remember now. It was she claimed the cops never call 911 or something. And it's like, and then Chauvin's lawyer asked him, "Oh, well, wouldn't you assume they did because you saw what was happening? Isn't it procedure to call 911 or to call paramedics?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't. I'm confused by your question." He re-asked it again. He's like, "Oh yeah, it is standard operating procedure." So, and it turns out they did, of course. And but it seems like she was trying to bury Chauvin for no reason.
I think, it's just I think one reason too that like even when you have something like the documentary, I think still it's very difficult for a lot of people to change their minds about something that not only were they so convinced of because they think they know what they saw with their eyes. It's like, no, I know what I saw, but this became more than that. This became like a moral truth, a poetic truth. This embodied what we had been told by the media for a while. It was like, you've got the horrible white cop and you've got all this racial tension and white supremacy. Like this was the thing that could cement that into the consciousness, and they used it. So what I relate it to is, and I was having this conversation with somebody else talking about this, is this is like the way that I used to feel about Matthew Shepard, the Matthew Shepard case, because I was a teenager when that happened. And even to this day, even knowing that it was a drug deal gone bad, that one of the people who killed him was actually, his lover, even knowing all of that, my first thought to this day when I hear Matthew Shepard is, oh, that was a hate crime because he was gay. Because it became such a cultural moment. It was defining. That embodied like, oh my God, the homophobia of the 90s, and that like that it became this cultural truth that the facts almost seem to feel like they betray you in a certain sense. And I think that's what cases like this do. And I think that's why people have a really hard time changing their mind, because it requires you to mourn a reality that never existed, but that you lived in, but one that you lived in. And it's such a mind fuck. But that's what it is. They totally lied to us,
And that's what the autopsy report. That one shocked me. I mean, from the beginning, what am I forgetting? The doctor, what is that called? The pathologist did the medical examiner did the autopsy report, and he's consistent. Like 3 or 4, he was like, oh no, this is a fentanyl. This is an overdose, a drug overdose. He had coronary artery disease. He was gonna die anyway within probably a year. The medical examiner predicted, and I think the prosecutors met with him. The FBI met with him. I don't know why the FBI cared about this case. The Keith Ellison met with him, by the way, as Attorney General of Minnesota at the time. I'm not sure he still is, but at the time he was. And all these people met with him. I guess tried to change his mind. And he's like, no, this is what it is. I'm not going to change my mind. And they had to bring out what's his face, Michael Baden. You know him. He did the autopsy show on HBO. They had to bring him in to say, oh no, George Floyd, totally healthy, and he was murdered, basically, and that's how they were able to prosecute, because they brought in a celebrity doctor. It's like if the Republicans brought in Dr. Oz to do an autopsy or something.
Yeah, no, they were not going to let evidence get in the way of their conviction, because you had people, setting things on fire, assaulting police, chanting outside the courtroom, we demand a guilty verdict. There was just no way. This was a mob. I mean, this was absolute mob mentality demanding blood, and they got it.
Yeah, that's why they should have. It should have. I'm not sure if Chauvin's lawyers tried to get a change of venue, but they should have tried at least.
I think they did, and he was just blocked at every turn, because this was decided. This was already a foregone conclusion. This was going to cement a narrative in the culture that they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, if the judge, everybody, like the judge was like, he didn't let in evidence. It was like, okay, but I mean, we can't give in to mob mentality. I understand politicians, the mayor of Minneapolis, he came. I'd never seen him before until the documentary. When he's talking, it's like he reminds me so much of Gavin Newsom. Like he's such a
Oh,
greasy politician, like Gavin
yeah,
Newsom,
yeah.
and I was like, oh no, it's Gavin Newsom 2.0. In a few years, we're gonna see him in the national stage, and he's gonna be a
Mhm.
star. He'll be the next governor of Minnesota, be my guess. But and then all of a sudden he'll be a presidential candidate because he allowed the protester to destroy his city. He's such a good guy, you know.
Mhm.
So it's like
You will see at the end of that documentary how many people got career advancement out of this case.
mm, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's very similar to other cases where if you follow the narrative, you get your career. You know, you get promoted or you get elected to higher office or whatever. You know, but yeah, I'm like, how he's like the mayor of Minneapolis. He just came. I'm sure that there were orders from superiors not to do anything, just let the city be destroyed. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, I know there
oh
were.
yeah, just watch and tell us what the protesters and rioters are doing. Oh, they're
Mhm.
destroying a Target or destroying a Walmart or a T-Mobile
Mhm.
store. Okay, just keep watching. Don't do anything
Yeah,
now.
no, they wouldn't let them do anything.
I'm like, is that the if I lived in Minneapolis and this happened, I'd be furious. So like, okay, it's the mayor's fault. He needs to go. The police chief needs to go. Any leader, the governor of Minnesota, whatever needs to go. I mean, they destroyed an entire city for
Yeah,
a narrative that wasn't even true. Unfortunately, if it was true, even if it was true, it's not really justified either. I mean,
no, no. This
I don't want
helps
my city
no one.
destroyed. It doesn't help anybody. Just Minneapolis still hasn't recovered. It's still kind of like in ruins.
Yeah, yeah.
And here I live in Trenton, New Jersey, and there
Mhm.
was rioting here a little bit. It was like the difference is the police actually stepped in and stopped it from getting worse. But there's rioting
Mhm.
here, and the place where I worked at was a driving school, was a small business. The window was destroyed on it. The
Mhm.
window was it was like they smashed the window in. They didn't steal anything as far as I knew, if I saw, but they smashed the window in and just ran off these rioters. And I had to go into the office. It's the middle of the pandemic. Call the insurance company, get them to pay for it. It was me and the owner were there, and it's like such an inconvenient nightmare. And technically, we were supposed to be closed because of the pandemic, so the shutdown orders were in place. But yeah, we had to go in order to get the window fixed. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, they weren't open for business, but yeah, you know, we had to get the windows fixed. But yeah, I mean, they destroyed Minneapolis. They allowed it to be destroyed, and it hasn't recovered to this day. You know,
No.
a lot of these businesses won't go back into Minneapolis, like the T-Mobiles, the Targets, the WalMarts. I mean, a lot of them won't go back. And I know there's going to be people who say in the comments or in the chat, well, fuck them. They're big businesses. They can handle it themselves. They don't need the money. No, they don't. But Walmarts in particular, are where a lot of people shop because the
Yeah.
cheapest prices,
You
and
are
they
like
create jobs
right.
too.
Yeah,
So if those
it
jobs are
there's
gone,
right. There's no
you can't.
jobs and it does destroy communities. Like you can say whatever you
Mhm.
want about like, oh, they're parasitic big businesses. Yeah, sure. No one's arguing that. But when you look at it on the just community level and like it's all well and good to be able to step back and be like, oh well, I don't like that business and they're okay, but there's people that actually depend on that
Mhm.
to be there and they depend on those jobs,
And it's
you
unfortunate.
know.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not defending Walmart, but it's unfortunate. You know,
No.
I mean, they have to, you know, and what the reason is, the reason why they don't come back is insurance rates. Because right now, you know, insurance is because if you want to do business in Minneapolis, okay, fine, but why that it's not profitable, and that's why these people, Walmart in Chicago, I
Oh,
saw, I
Chicago is
saw there was a news report out of Chicago that they closed the only two Walmarts in Chicago. And people were like, and a lot of people were upset by this because it's like I had a job here, I had my life here, And now because of the rampant crime and policy from Democrat mayor, now Walmart's gone. The insurance rates are too high, and we don't have it. Can't buy food. We can only
It
get a
feels
job.
like Brandon Johnson is like on a mission to utterly destroy Chicago.
Oh, that's been done since Rahm Emanuel and the other mayor. I forget her name right now. Lightfoot, something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
Lori Lightfoot.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brandon Johnson. It's even further left than those two, and somehow and things are worse in Chicago and not
Oh,
better.
because he doesn't. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. His policies, they're like, it's just all of these progressive policies that sound compassionate, but they're not, and they just create complete chaos. They destroy the very communities that they claim to be helping, right? But it does make, affluent progressives feel good to see those nice sounding policies and to be able to vote for those nice sounding policies, but they don't suffer the consequences of those policies.
No, and I'll say this one last thing. I do have to wrap up because it's almost
Yeah.
9, and there's another stream coming up in the network. But yeah, but I'll say this one last thing. It's most of these white progressives who are virtue signaling about how horrible Walmart is, and they're happy Walmart's shutting down in these big cities. They don't live in these big cities. They don't live in Chicago or LA or San Francisco, which is a disaster.
And they don't
Or
shop there. They don't have to.
no, in New York or wherever. They don't shop there. They live in the suburbs. They shop at Wegmans. They shop at these expensive high-end grocery stores, and they don't care. They literally do not care. And it's like, yes, Walmart closed. Let's virtue signal about how awful Walmart is and stuff like that. But they don't either don't realize or don't care that most communities unfortunately need a Walmart. Like here, it's a Walmart not far from me, and I do most of my food shopping there too
I
because
go to Walmart. I have no shame about saying
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I buy most of my clothes at Walmart, or if not Walmart, then a thrift store. I mean, that's I do what I got to do, and you do too, I'm sure. So
yes.
yeah, I mean, if you're interested in the documentary, it's called "The Fall in Minneapolis." It's on Rumble.
It's free on Rumble, and
I'm
it's
not sure if it's on
excellent.
YouTube yet, but
I think it might be. I think the trailer is on YouTube. I don't know if I feel like it's not going to last on YouTube.
If it is, it's going to get taken down, I'm sure. But I'm going to put the link in the chat.
It is totally free on Rumble, and it is
Yeah.
really worth a watch.
I'm going to put the link in the chat. I'm not sure how many actually will watch it, but it's there, if you want to check it out. I recommend it. So, yeah, so it's in the chat, and that'll do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you.
Everybody's disappeared, I guess, because after we started talking about George Floyd.
Me back, and thank you
no.
to your audience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have you back on. Maybe we'll do round 3 next month or something.
Yeah.
You'll be a monthly guest. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. I like talking to you, and I'm glad you were able to come on. I'm glad you were able to come on last second because I didn't have a guest until like 3 or 4 hours ago. Well, until next time, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. See you guys next Friday, maybe right before Christmas. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, good night. God bless, and I'll see you guys.